Alrighty, Josh Rubin from East West Healing Performance. Today I want to talk about endometriosis. And I've done a YouTube on this before, but the reason I want to talk to about it is because I feel that everyone has a choice and a responsibility to get healthy. And I only say this not because I work with people with this dysfunction, because we see it out there and people are suffering. So what we're doing as a society isn't working. So if it's not working, let's flip the switch and find out what is working. You know, if you're on a medication, you're still suffering in pain, that's a sign. That's a sign that what you're doing is not working and you actually should not be suffering. If you're constantly going to see a chiropractor week after week after week, you're in pain, you get better. You're in pain, you get better. And you go back, you're doing it for years. That's a sign that it's not working. That's how it is. There's a difference between a technique and a therapy. A technique is something you apply to the body. It's something that you dictate. Well, a therapy or something that's therapeutic is basically put upon a person by a practitioner that's listening to the person's body. That's listening to the person's tissues. That's listening to the person's emotional well-being. That's listening to their entire body and every system in it and allowing that person's body to dictate the direction of the treatment in order to individualize it. The body is a functional unit and everything is connected. And it's an inherent system of auto-regulation, meaning if you actually give that person's body what they need because you listen to that person and you figure out what they need, what their tissues need, on and on and on, the body will actually regulate itself. That's what the body's designed to do. But if you apply something to the body with a medication and you're really not listening, even to yourself, well, nothing's really going to happen because you're not listening to the needs of the body. I always tell some of my clients, your body is like a radio station. Everyone has a different channel. It's your job to tune into your channel, to listen to your body, figure out why you have endometriosis. Now, this is basic. It's a 10-minute YouTube clip. I can't go into tons, but it's really to wake you up. It's really to get you to start thinking because you shouldn't suffer. And I'm doing this because I had a client in the United Kingdom. And you can go to our website at eastwesthealing.com. eastwesthealing.com. Go to the testimonials link. It's the first and newest testimonial. And I only put this up there not to brag. Some of you guys might think so. But to put it up there so you can see that you have a choice. She had suffered for years, a long time, with endometriosis and cysts. You know, what is endometriosis? It's typically when the endometrium makes it outside the uterus, makes it into the bladder, the pelvic area, to simplify it. And in the beginning phase of your cycle, which is the follicular phase, you're technically more estrogen dominant per se. Or I should say there's more estrogen in that phase. What happens in that uterine lining should build up. Well, that endometrial lining now is in the pelvic area, the bladder. That also builds up, which causes pain because of increased blood flow to that area. And then you go through ovulation, mid-cycle, which nowadays is anywhere from 24 to 36 hours. And then you go to the luteal phase, which is, it's typically when estrogen drops a little. It doesn't come down, it just drops. And progesterone goes up. You're more progesterone dominant in the second phase because progestation is, you know, progesterone is progestation. It supports nutrients and oxygen to the fetus. So let's look at some of the differences of estrogen and progesterone. Not, you know, just the differences. Estrogen typically creates proliferation of the endometrium if it's unopposed by progesterone. It's necessary for proper ovulation, of course, but in excess or if progesterone's deficiency, it can cause a decreased sex drive. It can cause breast stimulation, increased body fat, depression and headaches. It can interfere with the thyroid and block T4 to T3 conversion. It can actually increase blood clotting in the body. It can cause a decreased amount of zinc and copper and a retention of copper in the body. It can actually cause a reduction of oxygen in the body and pull oxygen away from the tissues, which causes cramping, and oxygen away from the fetus, which can result in maybe a miscarriage. It actually slightly restrains osteoclast activity in the body, which can cause bone loss. It reduces vascular tone in the body, leading to vascular leakiness, varicose veins and things like that. It increases your risk for gallbladder disease, autoimmune diseases, and cancers. So that's if it's unopposed by progesterone. What does progesterone do? It maintains the secretions in the endometrium. It's necessary for survival of the embryo because it brings oxygen and nutrients to the fetus. It can restore sex drive. It protects against fibrocystic breasts. It helps burn fat for energy or use fat. It's a natural diuretic, natural antidepressant. It normalizes blood clotting, normalizes blood sugar, restores cell oxygen levels in the cells, restores normal vascular tone, sleep patterns. It's anti-anxiety. It protects the ovaries against cancer. It helps against breast soreness. And it's a lot of precursors to the corticosteroids in your body. So you can see the differences there. Now, with endometriosis, the important thing is when you go in the middle of the beginning of your cycle and you get that pain and inflammation from the increased blood flow and the building up of that uterine lining outside the uterus, or the endometrium, that can cause a lot of pain. And the reason I want to talk about this is because it can actually, I'm not saying I actually cured this person of endometriosis, but most people with endometriosis say, doctors say you're always going to be in pain, and it's rare that you're really going to be able to have a child. And if you do, it's going to be hard to keep that child. Well, at this client of mine, you can read eastwesthealing.com, go to the testimonials page, the first one. She suffered, she was on drugs, she had pain and 2 miscarriages. They told her, unless she had IVF or, did something special, it would be very likely that she would have a child and she'd be in pain the rest of her life. Well, we did something different. We actually assessed her. We did a lot of objective assessments, subjective assessments, lab tests to really figure out nutritionally what she needed. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I did with her because it's not the same for everyone, but we really put her on a limited diet, got rid of refined carbohydrates, processed foods, all that stuff. We gave her foods that were very stimulating to her immune system, her endocrine system like a thyroid and adrenal glands, and her hormonal system and the liver. We did some lab tests to see what was going on in her gut, and she did have some parasites and bacterial overgrowth, so we eradicated those to reduce the amount of stress in the body so her body could actually support the fetus. So at the same time, we looked at her hormone levels used in a saliva lab to figure out what was going on. And the bottom line is, just to make it really simple, she had huge blood sugar fluctuations, which was causing adrenal stress. She had bacterial infections and fungal infections, which was causing GI stress. She had the stress of not having the child, which was causing stress, which obviously created an estrogen dominance in her body. Meaning with her that her progesterone was super low, which is progestation, and her estrogen was somewhat normal, but her progesterone was super low. So there's a problem with that. What did we do after that? Once we created a foundation, which is important, the body needs a foundation to work from. You can give the body all the hormones you want, progesterone, DHEA, pregnenolone, but if you don't have a foundation, it's not going to work. So we created a diet that supports all the systems of her body. We taught her lifestyle principles to create a solid foundation so her body could support a fetus. Then what we did was we balanced her hormones with low doses of pregnenolone and progesterone. Now we did this for a very short amount of time. We did it for maybe, if I can remember, I have to look at my file, maybe about 3 months. Her symptoms started getting better. She was going in for tests. Her cysts actually stopped growing and started to shrink a little bit. And she started to feel very vital and very healthy. And at that point, she knew that it was time because she embraced the process. She knew that I'm just here to get healthy. I'm not here to get pregnant. Once we created that foundation, she just, I don't want to say tried to get pregnant, but just let nature kind of take its course. And the bottom line is she got pregnant. You can look at the testimonial. She has a healthy child after having 2 miscarriages. And the bottom line with this is, not to brag, you have a choice and a responsibility to take care of yourself. You have a choice to educate yourself and say, is what I'm doing working? And if it's not, take the necessary steps. Because if you have endometriosis, you do not have to suffer in pain. And you can get pregnant and have a healthy child. And you can actually get healthy and be free of pain and be vital for the rest of your life. So hopefully you're motivated if you do have endometriosis. Hopefully this shifts something in you. And if not, hopefully you've learned something. Feel free to give us a call to set up your free consultation. As well, find someone in your area that will do comprehensive assessments. Maybe do some labs and treat you and listen to your body. And not just use a technique of, protocols and supplements and hormones to fix you because they're not listening to you. So thanks for tuning in. I'm out of here.